very interesting issues you've raised there. Let's just go through a couple of them. The first, the missiles, and this had always been the strongest part of the intelligence picture, and indeed missiles were found. And the point Mr. Blix made was that he was destroying them. That is, here was something that could be found, and there was a way of dealing with them through the provisions of UNMAVIC. You didn't need to do anything else thereafter. He'd found them, he made the point, he dealt with them. The other question on the intelligence was that the issue that you were saying about going to war, not going to war, depended very much on a political understanding in the Security Council, indeed in this country. So that though you may well have been right about what the resolution required and what was needed, nonetheless you were dealing with a political perception within the Security Council that something more was required. And this was a difficulty all the way through. The people were expecting to see more.
Well, Sir Lawrence, I mean, everybody was expecting to see more. I leave President Putin out of it, but the level of the international consensus that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction was very broad. And as I record in my memorandum, Dr. Blix himself says after the war that he thought they continued to have stocks, and his assumption all the way through had been that. But there was no war party on the Security Council. I mean, we can say maybe the part of the United States administration, but I certainly, in the UK government, I certainly didn't want war. And if Dr. Blix had said, and Dr. El-Baradei, but if Dr. Blix, because this was where the focus was, this regime is complying with, and it fulfills, as it were, the tests in OP4, that would be the end of it from our point of view. And I don't know what the United States would have done, but there would have been no case whatever for us taking part in any military action. And the strategy of 1441, which was to resolve this by peaceful means, would have succeeded.
Now, we want to get on to the second resolution, and I think we'll probably take another break before we do so. Can I just conclude this a little bit? We come back to where we were before. It's true that a lot of people, including Dr. Blix to start with, believed that there was something to be found, that there were stocks that were there. But the problem now was that the lack of hard evidence that we had, and let me quote David Omand again from yesterday, where he said, talking about SIS, that they overpromised and undelivered on the intelligence. And I think you were saying at this time, reality has not matched the expectation generated by the intelligence. There was a problem that as the inspectors went in, where one might have expected to find things were not being found.
Yes, I mean, during the period leading up to the decision to go to war, I used to question people from SIS about the sources of intelligence, and I was concerned that we weren't getting as much intelligence as I thought we ought to be. But in each occasion when I put questions about this, I was satisfied with the answers about the difficulty of running agents and obtaining SIGINT in a very hostile environment in Iraq. But could I just say that Dr. Blix said that it was his opinion at the end at the beginning of the period. It was with respect, it's also his opinion at the end, and I quote this in my memorandum. I'm just trying to turn up the exact quotation, but in his book, as Butler records, this is paragraph 69 of my memorandum, and this is the book he wrote after all of this, but that's the last sentence. He says, "My gut feeling which I kept to myself, suggested that Iraq still engaged in prohibited activities and retained prohibited items, and that it had documents to prove it.
But was this at the start of his entry, or at the end?
This was, well, no, I mean, I think that, but the perception I had was that this ran all the way through his, certainly up to the military action.
Well, I think, well, I'm not sure he did, and I think it's probably best if we leave that until we get into the discussion of the second resolution.
Okay, well, but just allow me to say this. When we did get into the discussion of the second resolution, the suggestions about what should go in the second resolution, the components, in significant part came from Dr. Blix. And I may also give you some more detail about the meeting I had with him on the 6th of March. I never got any impression from him whatsoever that he thought there wasn't a problem.
I don't think that's the issue, but let's possibly break now and then to come back to after the break.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
Fine.
Thanks. Well, let's resume for the final part of the day for the next 40 minutes or so. And Lawrence, back to you.
So now we're going to talk about the diplomacy of January to March. You told us before that Resolution 1441 had been designed so there was no need for a second resolution. So why then did you go for a second resolution?
Because, well, for a number of related reasons. First of all, because although we were clear, and it would have been designed in this way, that we didn't need a second resolution, it unquestionably would have made the handling of the issue in the United Kingdom much easier, and the building of an international coalition. Secondly, because in the absence of the full cooperation that we were seeking from Iraq, as required by OP4, we wanted to give the Iraqi regime a second final opportunity. And it was certainly my belief that if we had been able, with the authority of the Security Council, to present them with this list of benchmarks, all of which were attainable, and they were designed to be attainable by the Iraqi regime, with an ultimatum that if they did not meet these, then there would be military action. I thought we would get compliance from Hussein, and we could avoid.
When did you come to the conclusion you wouldn't?
In the period between the end of the Security Council meeting on the 7th of March, which I attended, which was a ministerial meeting, and the following Friday, when Sir Jeremy Greenstock reported that the efforts to secure a consensus had fallen away. So, Lawrence, if you ask me, at what moment did I think this is not going to be possible, it's the moment when I turned on the television and saw President Chirac saying, whatever the circumstances, France would veto a second resolution. We'd worked extremely hard to get 9 members of the Security Council on board. Without going through the whole list, we'd got the 3 African states on board. We thought we had the Chileans and the Mexicans, and Jonathan Powell spelled out the work that we'd done with them and with some of the others on the Security Council, including Pakistan. But it was one of these negotiations where it very finely balanced, but if you didn't get them all together, they all went. And President Chirac came out with this, which was, I think, designed to be totally disruptive of the negotiations, and certainly had that effect. Then President Fox of Mexico decided to admit himself to hospital with a bad back, which had been, it was not a chronic condition, and not become acute as far as we know, but anyway, it was convenient. And then President Lagos of Chile said that he wasn't willing to go without President Fox, so the thing fell away.